Welcome to Faces of Farming. I'm Cheryl Mitchell, the president of Trelevan, and it's been our great pleasure to be working cooperatively with NOFA, the Northeast Organic Farming Association, and local farmers to bring you this show on a regular basis. Trelevan is a retreat and learning center that's located on a sheep farm here in Addison County, and we've really enjoyed getting to know the other farms, but also many of the organizations that support farmers in our area. And I'm thrilled today to be talking with two people from NOFA as well as one of our local farmers, because it's just the beginning of the CSA sign-up season, and we're all happily anticipating the farmers market season coming along and looking at more and more ways that Vermonters can get access to fresh, locally grown food. So my guests are Erin Buckwalter.
Hi.
Hi, Erin. And Mike Good, and many of you saw Mike last year. He told you how to walk through a farmer's market if you were nervous. And Jennifer Blackwell, who runs the Elmer Farm. So thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you.
And I'm thinking we might want to start with you, Erin, as you're the Director of Marketing and Outreach for this whole shebang.
Yeah,
To say, what are your goals here and what should we know?
Okay, great. Well, so I'm Erin, and I'm the Market Development Director at NOFA, and I run our direct marketing program. So I work with all of the CSA farms and farm stands and farmers markets in the state. Not every single one, but a lot of them. And then running our community food security program. So our goal is to really just get more Vermonters shopping at direct markets, and then to make sure that anyone that wants to shop at them can. So as you noted, it's CSA sign-up season. So we could talk a little bit today about maybe some of the different things people should consider when they want to sign up for a CSA, what makes it a good choice for them. And if a CSA doesn't feel right, we also have lots of farm stands and farmers markets around that people can go to, and so we can talk a little bit about how to do that and different ways that they can access food if they need a little bit of extra support in their budget.
Great. Well, why don't we actually start with that? Let's talk about CSAs and what are they?
Yeah,
and
great.
How do people decide which one, if they want to go that route? How do they decide which one?
Yeah, so CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. So typically the way that a CSA works is that a shareholder will buy a season's worth of produce or other products that a farm produces, and they'll pay in advance at a time when typically there's maybe a lot of upfront costs for a farmer, and so it is an investment in a farm, and then you typically will pick up a share, a box of produce or whatever your products are on a weekly basis. And so there's lots of different types of CSAs. Some happen just in the summer. Some farms just do summer CSAs. Some do year-round CSAs or just by the season. There are farms that offer CSA products that are just from their farm, and other farms that partner with lots of different farms and have add-ons. So I don't know, Jennifer, do you have any add-ons for your CSA?
We don't have specific add-ons, but during our pickups take place at our farm, where members gather their vegetables. They have some choice in what they're putting in their share, and they can purchase other locally produced products. So we have meat from a local farm. We sell Elmer Farm eggs. We have bread, maple syrup. Last year, the Larson family farm sold their raw milk directly to our members. So there's other opportunities for connecting to other farmers.
So if people sign up with your CSA, do they have to come work on the farm? Do they have to pick vegetables and weed? Or?
We don't have a work requirement, and I'm not positive, but I think that there's less and less of those arrangements happening on farms. I think they're kind of becoming more frowned upon a little bit, but we don't have a work requirement, and we're trying to come up with volunteer opportunities if people want to have, kind of get a little bit of experience in participating. But our CSA members spend time on the farm because they're gathering their vegetables. They can pick flowers. We have a sand pile where kids play. So it is a place where people are spending time and gaining a connection to their community and other people that they know. And so.
And so you mentioned that there are some other arrangements. What are those?
Well, and I would say, some CSAs are like Elmer Farms, where you go to the farm and pick up directly at the farm, and then there's other CSAs that will deliver to your workplace, or they might have a coffee shop in town or some place where they'll do a big delivery, and then anyone that wants to can go and pick them up there. So lots of different models to consider, and I think something that, depending on where you live, you might be able to find, maybe the closest CSA to you is not really on your way to or from work and is a little bit out of the way, but there might be a drop-off site. So, and you guys do a little bit of like workplace delivery. And,
Yep, we do.
And then there's other farms that primarily do that type of thing. So that's definitely one thing to consider when you're thinking about getting a CSA is where is it and
What's the season usually?
yeah, I mean that depends by
That
farm.
depends, okay.
And some people do 20 weeks, so they'll go kind of May to the end of September. Some don't start until June, and they'll go through October. And then, like I said, there are some that go year round. Yeah, and then I think another thing to consider is how the food comes packaged, or so some farms, they have a set box, so they'll do the same box of food for all of their members that week. Some farms, like Jennifer, have a little bit of choice, so there'll be kind of a set of things that you can pick, one or two from this category and one or two from this category. So if you don't like cabbage but you really love cauliflower, maybe you pick the cauliflower instead of the cabbage. And then some are more of kind of a farm stand style where you pay a certain amount up front and you kind of just pick. So that's definitely another something to consider, is how much you want choice over what you're going to get versus how much you want a little bit of surprise and excitement in your life.
So how do people find out, is this a question for you or for Mike, how do people find out where the CSAs are and what they offer?
Yeah, well, we have a huge list of CSAs on our website, nofavt.org, so we have a whole CSA directory. And on that directory, it'll give you a little snapshot of what that CSA is like, and then a link to that farm's website or the phone number. And so typically what we recommend people to do is look and try and find maybe 2 or 3 farms that you think might be a good fit, and then call and talk to the farmer and learn some more, because each one's going to be slightly different, and you want to make sure that it's going to be something that will fit in your lifestyle.
And if you were getting a farm share, let's say it's enough for a family of 4, is that reasonable?
That varies.
That varies also, okay.
Yeah.
It's a theme about CSAs.
Right.
Yeah, so some farms will have small, medium, and large shares. Some farms will have just one size share, and they'll typically tell you approximately how much food you'll get each week so that you can kind of plan. And, so if it's a farm that has one size share that would typically feed a family of 4 and you're a couple, you might find a couple to share that with.
Yeah.
And that's an easy way. And then you also have 2 different couples that could take turns going to pick it up if maybe the pickup is a little challenging, or you could meet there and have a little fun while you're at the farm picking flowers with your friends, and then you could go home and cook dinner with them. So there's a lot of people that kind of do that kind of thing too.
And I would say some CSA farms are getting increasingly more sophisticated with how they communicate what's in their shares, typically, of moving beyond just physical descriptions, of showing photos of what the lot the previous year looked like, so you know what you're getting yourself into, and maybe showing seasonality charts so you know what to expect at what points in the year. And I think there's a communication that happens between the farm and the individual purchasing.
And I would say, I even know Footprint Farm, which is in Starksboro, they have kind of a regular share that runs the gamut of all different products that they grow, but they also have a small salad share. So that might be something good for someone that has a pretty big garden and just wants to augment their garden a little bit. And so that comes every week with salad greens, which can be, unless you're doing a lot of succession planting, can be kind of hard to keep up with in your own garden. Yeah. And then a couple items that you would put in your salad. So they might have some tomatoes and carrots, or some nasturtiums and broccoli, or a couple different things every week. So that's kind of another thing so some farms will kind of tailor it to what their customers want. And if they hear, we want something really small, then that's something that the farm might decide to offer also.
Yes. And if people were doing this for economic reasons rather than to have nutritious, fresh, organic vegetables, how does it compare to do a CSA versus going to the farmer's market versus going to your co-op versus going to the local supermarket?
That's a great question. So that's something that we're going to be looking at this summer a little bit more in depth. 2 summers ago, maybe even go back further. In 2010, we did a pricing study at NOFA where we looked at the cost of goods that are bought at farmers markets versus co-ops and other retail outlets, like the normal grocery store. And we found that for most products, when you're comparing the same most products, when you're comparing kind of organic tomatoes to organic tomatoes, you can't really compare organic heirloom tomatoes to conventional Roma tomatoes from the South America or something. But when you're comparing like things, that farmers markets are actually really cost competitive, and in a lot of instances, especially when things are really in season, they can be cheaper. And so we're going to do a reprise of that study this summer in partnership with the Agency of Ag and expand it to CSAs. And a couple summers ago, we looked at a few CSAs to kind of get a feel for what it would take to do a CSA pricing study. And our initial findings from that small study showed that it's cheaper to get a CSA.
A CSA.
Typically, yeah. So, you're kind of buying in at the beginning of the season with the expectation that you'll get, about a certain amount of food every week. But it also kind of goes with the bounty of the farm. So if the farm is, if tomatoes are gangbusters one year, you might get a lot of extra tomatoes, which is great, Yes. So, and each farm kind of prices things differently and makes that decision differently. But typically, it's a good deal to get a CSA.
And Jennifer, for you as a farmer, how do you decide whether you're going to sell your produce in CSAs or at the farmers markets, or I don't know if you sell direct to the co-op or if you have other markets? How do you decide which markets you're going to use?
Yeah, oh wow, that is a great question. So it really depends because, right now, we grow 8 acres of vegetables, and about a little less than half of what we grow goes to our direct wholesale accounts. So local restaurants, the co-op, we used to sell at Greg's before they closed. And then CSA and farmers market are pretty much split evenly. So it is always hard to kind of know. But with the co-op, for instance, the produce department, they meet with all the growers at the beginning of the season. They kind of set up informal contracts of what you're going to grow for them and when the weeks will be, and so that's really important for us to keep in good standing with that account, is to kind of do our best to fulfill that. And so that's one thing that we have to keep in mind. And with the CSA, sometimes when a vegetable is just starting to ripen, when we're just starting to harvest cucumbers, for example, we generally don't have enough to give out all at once to our 100-member CSA. So those might start at farmers market. Or, our greenhouse tomatoes, we specifically kind of grow. There's some tomatoes that we really try to do early specifically for farmers market. That's one crop that is kind of dedicated to like an early start there. But in general, we keep track of what we give out every week, so we try to kind of keep it, even though members have choice, we also try to kind of keep it fresh and try to have something new every week, something that's kind of exciting. So fulfilling our obligations to to our wholesale accounts, but also making CSA interesting, and also having some things that are kind of maybe earlier in the season to draw farmers market customers in, trying to have those things earlier. So it's always a balancing act, especially in the very beginning of the season when produce is in such demand. Everybody wants it. So that's the hardest time of the year, of like being really sensitive to all of our accounts and making sure everyone feels like they're important and their needs are being met, but also that we're doing what's right for our business too.
Yeah, those shoulder seasons.
Complicated, yeah. I'm just thinking from the consumer's point of view. I think, Mike, you're going to talk about crop cash in a few minutes and how that can be used at farmers markets, but that's not a way to get help with CSA shares, is it, at this point?
Not at this point. There's a few other states piloting certain programs around this, but right now we're focusing on farmers markets with their incentive programs specifically. But we do at NOFA Vermont, we have the Farm Share program, which is a cost share between the farm, NOFA Vermont, and individual customers that provides a 50% subsidy for limited income Vermonters who are looking to purchase a CSA share. And Elmer Farm has been a participant for years and years and years and years. So they're a great participant here in Middlebury. So that there's an application cycle that actually goes live tomorrow, March 1st. And that's, we have a summer cycle and we also have a fall cycle. As Aaron alluded to, there's multiple seasons for CSA shares. So it's in order to, help with the continuity of providing limited income Vermonters that may be nutritionally vulnerable with access to farm fresh produce all year round, and for allowing them to participate in the local food economy that they may not have the financial means to otherwise.
Right.
I was looking at some numbers because I just did a grant report the other day. And in 2015, we helped over 750 Vermonters access
with the farm share?
With the farm share program. And then we also have a senior farm share program that provides small CSAs for limited income seniors and subsidized housing. And we had 750-ish shares there too. So, nearly
So it's
1,500
significant,
people, in the state, which is great. And we'd like to grow that even more.
Right.
So
we're starting to leave brochures all over town at community suppers and the community lunches, but it sounds like people could get the information and download the applications just on the NOFA website also.
Right, and if someone doesn't have access to the internet, they can always call our office too.
Okay. And that contact information will be at the end.
Yeah,
That would be great.
Yeah.
And I'm also familiar with, so ACORN, the Addison County Relocation Network, also has been offering for people that are members and get passports. They have a couple of farms that are offering discounts on the shares as well. So
Cool.
people can find out more about that.
Yeah, and
ACORN.
there's always a larger demand for the farm share program than we can fund, so it's encouraging to hear other programs.
So apply
in the state.
early, you're saying.
Apply
Okay.
early, yeah.
And at this point, WIC, the new EWIC program is not, it's my understanding that you can't use it yet so maybe next year we'll have an update on that. Do you want to say more things about CSAs before we start talking about farmers markets?
I think that, just on our website, we have more information about CSAs, but if people have questions about kind of what CSA might fit into their household or into their budget, we're happy to talk with them. We have a whole list of things you might want to consider. So, size is one of them. If the farm has organic practices and is certified organic is another thing you might want to consider. Also, the delivery method, the choice method, so there's several things that kind of all come together and can help you figure out what CSA is going to fit best with your lifestyle. So, and we'd be happy to talk with people a little bit more to help them narrow down one that will fit really well for them.
Cool. And how do you feel as a farmer having somebody call to explore it and then change their mind? Is that a...
No, I think it's really, really important to have the conversation about, all of the different characteristics of each CSA and how they're so different, and to make sure it's a good fit, because your members, if they're happy and it really fits into their schedule and they're using their vegetables, they're not getting composted because they have too much or it's stuff they don't like, all those things, or that they're able to make it, those are really important things, and I think that's what helps with the continuity of retaining your members. They're coming back if they're happy, versus if they're signing up and they don't have that information, then you feel I'm fine with what people call, and if it's not a good fit, that's good. I really, really take the time to work, talk through our CSA with our members to make sure that they're not getting more, signing up for too large of a share, and that it's really going to fit into their style. And I think that investment for the farmer to really connect with their new members is, I think that's really important.
Because you keep those customers year after year,
and if they're not going to get a CSA because for some reason it doesn't fit well, they can always shop at the farmers market or the co-op and access that product too.
Right, and they'll know your farm.
Exactly.
So let's move on and talk some about, some farmers markets are still going, the ones that have winter ones, but the new summer ones are, I want to say, about to open. It's probably a little bit.
2 more months.
It felt like spring.
Do you want to talk about the situation with farmers markets here in the county and what you anticipate for this coming summer?
Yeah, I guess I would say for this coming summer, we anticipate Middlebury kind of continuing their twice a week, Wednesday, Saturday markets, and then Virgins also has a market. Bristol's market stopped operating last year, and I know that there's some buzz about maybe trying to get it started up again, but I haven't heard anything definitively. And so we have a couple markets in the county, and the Middlebury market participates in our food access program. So Mike could tell you a little bit more about that.
That's the new program was new summer of last year is our crop cash program, as you can see in this lovely flyer. This program doubles your 3 Squares Vermont benefits at the farmers markets up to $10 per day. So again, families receiving 3 Squares Vermont benefits can go to the market. They'll swipe their card at the information booth, and then for every $1 that they spend in 3 Squares Vermont, it'll be matched with a $1 in crop cash up to $10. And this program is available, last summer is available at 46 markets in the state, and we anticipate similar numbers this year and perhaps even 1 or 2 more. And this program was able to be offered in both summer and winter this year. And we and Aaron mentioned this fact in the beginning that around $34,000 has been redeemed in 2015, and we're hoping to continue to grow that program going forward.
And it started much lower than that, right?
Yeah, it started much. So the program has changed slightly over the past. It was previously called Harvest Health, and it can be used to buy all SNAP eligible product, food product. With Crop Cash, it's only for the purchase of eligible fresh fruits, vegetables, and herbs. So a really big focus on the fresh produce that's grown on the farms. This provides additional incentive for people to come every week and make that the healthier options part of their normal eating habits.
It's great, yeah. And my understanding is that people are also exploring the Middlebury Foods package. They're exploring being able to use their electronic. I think we've been using a lot of terms that maybe weren't explained. So what used to be called food stamps became SNAP, became 3 Squares. So most people think about this now as their 3 Squares benefits, and they can be used at grocery stores, they can be used at farmers markets, they can be used at farm stands that have an electronic setup. There's not many of those. In our county, I don't know if your farms, do you have a farm stand that takes
we
EBT?
have the, you can get tokens at the farmer's market.
And use them at your farm stand.
So I think that we have, I don't do the farmer's market
Right.
anymore, so Spencer does the farmer's
Yeah.
market, so he's there. But I think that's how it works. I think that you can get tokens back and use them for the items at the stand.
Great.
But we don't do it personally at our stand, but there's a market person who kind of
Who does that?
Yeah.
oversees that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
great. And so what are your hopes? We're sort of going to run out of time. I'm
Yeah.
thinking I may not have asked all the questions that you wanted to address.
Hopes. I mean, we
Hopes.
would love for people to get out to a place where they can talk to the farmers that are growing their food. So that can happen at a farmer's market. That can happen easily at a farmer's market, and there's lots of different farmers to talk to. If you find a farmer that you really like, learning a little bit more about the CSA that they offer might be a way to kind of develop a more deep relationship with them and to know more about where your food's coming from. And if you're of limited income and you need some support, be in touch, because we have lots of ways to help Addison County residents and people across the whole state get access to all of this awesome local food that we grow here in the county and around the state too.
Mike, last year you talked to us about if you're hesitant or sort of afraid to go to a farmer's market, just think about one thing. Just think about lettuce. Let's go learn about lettuce. What would you say about CSAs? Does it carry the same way, or is it more just get to know one farm? What would you
I think
recommend
what's
here?
especially unique about CSAs is your ability to develop a strong relationship over the course of a season with one farm, one community, and I think that you should find a CSA that fits your lifestyle, that resonates with you in a way that makes you want to go back every week.
Do you have some closing wisdom for us, Jennifer?
Closing wisdom? Yeah, I mean, we as a farm, we value our customers, whether they're coming to CSA or farmers market or at the co-op, and we also, it's really important to us that we are approachable in all of our avenues of how we sell produce, and make it accessible. Whether it's just at our CSA for new members, we do an orientation. Because we have 100 members at our pickup, so coming with all those members can be overwhelming. So we do an orientation for people who might be nervous, and they can come and they can ask any questions, and I can say, this is where you park, this is where you will get your vegetables, this is where we keep the scissors to cut the flowers. Just really give people a nice kind of welcome into the season. And at farmers market too, just trying to really label things well and price things well so that people don't have to feel uncomfortable saying, what is this, or how much does it cost? And those questions can be uncomfortable, so just having really good signage is important. But yeah, just feeling like I want anybody who wants Elmer Farm produce to be able to have it. So yeah, it's
Great.
important, I hope.
Well, thank you, all three of you, Aaron
thank
and
you.
Mike and Jennifer, for
Thank
being
you.
on the show today. And I'd also really like to thank Middlebury Community Access Television for taping this for us. They are incredibly wonderful to work with. And if you have a nonprofit that has information they'd like to get out to the public, you don't need to know anything about TV. You can just call them up and they'll teach you everything you need to know, or do it for you at the beginning. They'll hold your hand. This is an exciting season, so just remember that CSAs are opening now. Some of the farms where they've had loyal customers for years, you may not get in unless you sign up pretty soon. So we'll be leaving information both about Crop Cash but also about CSAs all over town. Hope you can find it. And there's information at the end of this show too. Thanks for watching us today.